All right, here we go. Sage. Or in other words, do you like lasers? I bet you do.
Charlayan must be like one of those non-conflict nations in Gundam, you know, that secretly develop the most advanced Gundams.
Yes.
'Cause Sage is a lot like that. This is Sage's job gear. I think it looks pretty snazzy. Reminds me of something Alphino would wear. And here's the sprint animation. The way the Nulas follow you around is so freaking cool.
That is cool.
And I have a sneaking suspicion that we're gonna see a bunch of Sages running around in Endwalker. But first, I have a disclaimer. I was sponsored by Square Enix to try out this development build of Endwalker, and everything that you see here is subject to significant changes. That includes potencies especially. Since a lot of them change throughout all of the jobs, I would not worry about them. But anyway, let's take a look.
All right, let's see it.
Let's start with the most important thing about any healer. How to DPS.
Of course.
Sage's single target spell is called Dosis. It's a bunch of laser beams. Then there's also this special ability called Eucrasia that augments certain spells. And Dosis is one of them. So when you activate Eucrasia, Dosis changes into a dot that's instant cast and lasts 30 seconds. Then for AoE damage,
so
you've
cool.
got a spammable Discrasia, which is a point-blank AoE around you. Then there's Phlegma, a 510 potency targeted instant AoE with 2 charges. Sage also has its own version of a size called Numa, a 330 potency
Numa,
line
Numa, yeah.
AoE that also heals everybody around you and reduces their damage taken by 10% for 20 seconds. What the? And if that's not all, there's one more AoE called Toxicon. And that's a Decepticon normally. Targeted instant AoE. This one costs a resource called Adder Sting, which you can hold up to 3 of. You get an Adder Sting from your single target shield being broken. More on that later. Now for Sage's heals. Actually, I kind of also just said what the heals were since all of those DPS spells will heal also. You could put Cardia on a single target and all of your DPS spells.
In other words, it's like Disc Priest from World of Warcraft. You deal damage, while you're dealing damage, you're also healing. Sounds about right.
Will do a 170 potency heal to them automatically. You can even double this potency for 10 seconds with Soteria. But okay, I'll go over the actual healer spells if you must know. Sage's base single target heal is called Diagnosis, and its AoE heal is called Prognosis. Well, remember that ability Eucrasia for changing your DPS spell into a dot? Well, it works on these too. When you activate Eucrasia, Diagnosis and Prognosis will change into their shield versions and their instant cast. And the shield from Diagnosis is the one that will grant you an Adder Sting if it breaks. But what about shields that you put on people that aren't going to be used up? Well, you've got Pepsi for that. Pepsis. It will eat up the shields from Diagnosis and Prognosis and turn them into an instant heal. And you can do this every 15 seconds. Actually, I haven't even talked about the gauge yet, have I? It has a gauge. It automatically fills up every 20 seconds. The resource that you get is called Adder's Gall, and they are used to cast certain instant heals. Those are as follows. Druo Coal. This is basically Sage's Lustrate. It's 600 potency off global. Ixocoal. Basically Sage's Indom, 400 potency AoE off.
It's a lot to take in.
Caracol, basically Sage's Sacred Soil, reduces damage by 10% for 15 seconds and gives everybody regen. And Torocol, this is basically Sage's, wait, this is a new one, 600 potency off global with a damage reduction. And by the way, all of those will restore your MP a bit. So that's it for the Adder's Gall heals. Then you've got normal instant heals that are just on a normal cooldown. There's Physis. It's an AoE regen for 21 seconds on a minute cooldown. And Physis 2, which is a beefier Physis that will also increase your healing spells by 10%. That's on a 3-minute cooldown. Holos is a 300 potency AoE heal on a 1-minute cooldown, and it looks freaking cool. Then there's 2 interesting shield cooldowns, Jaima and Panharma. Jaima is the single target version. It'll put 5 stacks of a shield on a person, and every time damage is dealt, it will eat up the stacks of the barrier and apply a new barrier. And then whatever is left left at the end of the timer will trigger a heal for each stack remaining.
Golly.
And then Panharma is the same thing, just for AoE. Very interesting.
Yes.
And if that wasn't enough, you've got some other utility abilities as well.
Okay.
There's Icarus, of course. It's the Gundam Wings gap closer on a healer, probably because of the point blank AoEs. There's Zoe. It doubles the amount cured by your next healing spell. There's Rizomata, which just gives you 1 stack of Adder's Gall, the blue one. And finally, there's Krasis. It increases your healing magic on everybody by 20%. Notice that there's no DPS utility for Sage. This means that Scholar still has a fighting chance. And that is everything. But either way, Sage is looking really cool. Of
Sage is looking cool.
In-game content to try it out in. All I can really do is read the tooltips and cast the spells. But just looking at its kit and seeing how it fits in with the other healers, I think it's going to be really good. And for what it's worth, this is going to be the first healer I love. I mean, come on, it's new Gundam. I got it. Thank you so much for watching.
Fair enough.
And all of my videos on the Endwalker job changes are out now. So check out the playlist in the link in the description below to watch the next one. Okay, bye.
Big Zone of Ender's Energy. Yeah, Big Zone of Ender's Energy, Gundam. I even love that the sound effects sound similar to like the sound effects that were in Final Fantasy VIII. So me and my FC have been talking, and my Static have been talking, and what we're kind of thinking is going to happen is Sage is going to be really good for like speed runs and dungeons and stuff like that. Not saying people can't take anything into, you know, in-game content, but it's looking like maybe between Scholar and Sage, Scholar might perform a little better in the high-end raid content, just given what it can do. But like I said, the great thing about 14 is you can take anything in there and it can still be useful. But just comparing between the tool sets, Scholar might be a little better when it comes to that stuff. But again, it's all subject to change, so we'll see.